Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about something absolutely shocking. I could not believe when I heard this. So they did a great video, official D&D canon video, straight from the source with James Wyatt, right? And James Wyatt said, okay, he's like, if you notice, the 1983 Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, 1983 Saturday morning Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sorry, let me get it right. The 1983 Dungeons and Dragons Saturday morning cartoon heroes are all over the PHB, all over the DMG, right? The new DMG. And he said, we need you to understand something, right? He said, these were unfortunate kids who were transported to the realm of Dungeons and Dragons, and they went from Earth to the realms of Dungeons and Dragons, right? He said, but then, so, I'm like, okay, I know all that. And he's like, but I need you to understand, they are not the only ones, right? There are other unfortunate kids who came from Earth and went to the realms of Dungeons and Dragons. So I have spoken many times on this. I am astounded. Like, I cannot, like, literally in 1982, right? In 1983, like a significant number of American mothers were like, we're terrified that our children will be trapped in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. And Gary Gygax was like, I'm going to make a show that is about your kids who are playing Dungeons and Dragons get trapped in the world. I'm gonna make it a cartoon, and I'm gonna put it on television every Saturday morning. It was, and at first I thought it was a troll, right? I don't know. I don't think we know what Gary really meant by this, right? But the important part to understand now is that James Wyatt is saying that tradition is not dead, right? And so I feel like the Dungeons and Dragons design team is laying groundwork to say you should be running a campaign where U.S. players are getting brought into the world of Dungeons and Dragons, right? So now why would they do this? Well, I think the way that Dungeons and Dragons functions now is they serve the idea to the dungeon masters and dragon masters that are out there. The dungeon masters and the dragon masters iterate it 1,000 times, right? And then Hasbro comes along and has the Dungeons and Dragons design team take the best ideas, right? This is exactly what happened, in my humble opinion. This is exactly how Elder Dragon Highlander became Commander, right? A great idea built by the fans, fully commercialized, monetized, and owned by Hasbro. And it's been one of the most gangbuster products, right? So I think what they really want to do is they want to do a Dungeons and Dragons isekai canon sourcebook, giving us every step needed to take ourselves into Dungeons and Dragons, right? But they don't want to just do it. They don't just want to write it. They want to have us do the work and then find out and then take the best that the Dungeon Masters and Dragon Masters created and make it and roll their own, right? Make it into an official D&D canon hardback. Now, why would they do this? Well, because Infinization was just completed. If you don't know what Infinization is, I have an entire playlist for Infinization, link below, and I'll explain Infinization. So this is a companion piece to Infinization, right? Truly astounding. I was blown away by James Wyatt. And why is James Wyatt doing this, right? Well, every single thing coming out of the Dungeons & Dragons design team today in 2024, the OSR has abandoned Gary Gygax's legacy in every possible way. And they desperately want Gary Gygax's legacy to die literally with them, like the way Shauner just died literally like a couple weeks ago. The OSR is literally dying, right? Not just figuratively, they are literally dying, right? And so, but the 2024 Dungeons & Dragons design team, they're like, Gary Gygax's legacy needs to be X'd. It needs to be multiplied. We cannot allow it to be connected to these dusty tomes of old. Gary's legacy has to be connected to now. And James Wyatt is the main driver for this. He is the main driver for multiplying Gary Gygax's legacy now. Unlike like Gary Con, right? Like Gary Con is just some, you're like, hey, let's make sure Gary Gygax is forgot, right? Like they have an entire convention dedicated to, declaring that, Gary's an old dusty has-been and not relevant today. While D&D today, James Wyatt is like, Gary's more relevant today than ever, right? And his work is being written directly into books that are selling faster than any Dungeons and Dragons books have ever sold, breaking the record, literally, not figuratively, literally, right? Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.